We have a massive collection coming to MLB The Show 22 this week on the heels of that massive content week with Finest last week. In today's Market Monday, we have a ton to go over to make sure you're prepared. Multiple collections and content drops coming. We're reaching the end of content here in 22, but we are ending on a bang. There's no doubt about that. First off here, our first point on the schedule, Takashi collection. How many Takashi Okazaki series player items do you have in your collection? Because we are going to be getting a new collection there featuring a new player reward. Personally, for me, I think that's going to be Ohtani with him being on the cover in that Takashi style. It only makes sense that whatever 99 Ohtani we're going to get is going to be that Takashi card. I envision that to be the card we're going to be getting with that. Now, when we take a look at this collection, this can be a bit of a tricky one. It may not be the easiest collection to come in and complete. As of right now, we have 27 Takashi cards. You can see myself, I got all of them except that Walter Johnson. So with this Walter Johnson being 1 million subs, of course, we all know that. And he's currently sitting at 221 orders stacked up there at 1 million subs. I don't envision that we are going to need all 27 of these, but I could see 25 or even possibly 26. And if it is 26, there are some other really expensive ones. A guy like Billy Wagner right now at 698,000 stubs has continued to just slowly climb and climb as he's both a usable reliever and a card that you can no longer obtain. In addition to that, we have these 96 overall bosses from that previous Takashi program that are also very, very expensive. Raleigh Fingers at 250K actually ends up being one of the more inexpensive ones. Honus Wagner coming in 575,000 subs right now, rising very quickly with the announcement of this collection. Mike Piazza at 300K, rising very, very quickly. And Stan Musial now at 700,000 stubs. Again, these cards are going crazy with the announcement of this collection. I don't know if I necessarily would go out and buy these at this current moment. I mean, Piazza and Fingers, they're not too bad. But come Tuesday, if the collection requirements are less than expected, then we could see those cards end up being sold off as people who had bought them no longer need to collect them. And there is always the possibility of them releasing more Takashi cards to bolster this collection some. There's definitely still a couple legends out there that could get a high tier Takashi card. Maybe somebody like Chipper Jones, Pedro Martinez, Frank Thomas. Those guys are probably some legends in line for other 99 overall cards. So maybe they drop some of those. I wouldn't necessarily bank on that. I think the 27 Takashis is going to be the amount that we get for the year. So I'm expecting this collection to be either 25 or 26 needed. It is going to be a tough one. Now, not only is whatever card we're going to get from this collection going to be an insane card, especially if it's an Ohtani with insane hitting stats and per nines and all the nature there. Maybe they even add a sinker that card, take them to the next level. It's also likely going to act as a voucher for the collection on Friday, and we'll talk about that collection on Friday here in just a little bit. Next thing we got up on the schedule here, World Series content, World Series flashbacks with moments, and a conquest map now on this World Series drop. Date and time to be determined. With it being a conquest map added to this, I do think they're going to make it a little bit longer of a grind here if we can come into our programs here. We'll take a look at our 2022 postseason program. So far through the wild card series, the division series, and the championship series, we are at 216 points if we get all the way to the end here. But the championship series aspect of this program alone was somewhere around that 60 to 80 points just on its own. The World Series program is going to have more cards and most likely be longer, especially with that conquest. And this is going to be another important aspect because you're going to want to grind that out. If you're at 0 points in the postseason program, I know some people have been saying, you know, maybe these cards aren't really worth it. I'm not going to spend all that time for Eddie Rosario, Harrison Bader. I think that's probably not an unfair assessment of it, but you are going to want to have this done on Friday. It's Jeremy Pena, World Series MVP. That card is likely as well going to act as a voucher for that Friday collection. And if, say, they expand this program by 100 points because they're adding in Conquest, all of a sudden you have 300-ish program points to grind. That is going to take you some time. So I definitely recommend coming in here and starting to catch up on this grind, getting through some of the moments, getting through some of the missions. It does help that you have a lot of the moments stacked up. Now you can start knocking out those and get some of the players to knock out the player speed missions a lot easier. But this program, no doubt, gonna be a grind, and you're gonna want to have it done. Because again, I assume that World Series MVP Jeremy Pena is gonna act as a voucher on Friday as a card you will have to earn unable to buy it off the market, and reward the grinders with a voucher and some extra progress in that collection. Continuing on through the schedule, the next point we got here is the milestone program, launching the same day as this collection drops, coming in with 4 new milestone series awards and another program with showdown and moments. Not really sure what cards we're going to be getting there. So many people already have insanely juiced cards, but I imagine at least a few pitchers in that. Some perfect game Noah hitter cards. Maybe we see the return of that Justin Verlander card from last year. Those are probably going to be some of the more juice cards we can get in terms of milestone at this point in the game. So it may just be 4 pitchers that are absolutely cracked. But a big point of that is that it is going to add 4 milestone cards. When we come in here, we take a look at our collections, we drop down in here to milestone, we are going to have 4 new cards added to this, which could make the voucher for Friday's collection a little bit more difficult to get, where you're gonna have to grind through that other program first if you maybe are missing a couple already. But on the flip side of that, if you are missing some already, you'll be able to earn 4 presumably entirely for free to help bolster the amount that you have here to collect. Which, speaking of that final collection, let's talk about that. When the SDS live stream for the finest program last Friday, they mentioned that the reward for this collection could be the greatest card in Diamond Dynasty history. For me, I think that's going to be a Mickey Mantle card with absolutely maxed out hitting stats, enough fielding to get diamond fielding at all outfield positions, and maybe even maxed out speed to go along with that. Now, let me know, though, who do you think this collection award is going to be down in the comment section below. Now, if you're trying to prepare for that collection, you want to be ready. You want to make sure you have all the cards that you're going to need. A good rule of thumb is 90 to 95% of each category, and you'll probably be very safe. That's a quite aggressive number, and usually we are relatively within line of that. So one I do want to note here, for example, finest, we can see I've gone through, I've done the math. They just added in a ton of these finest cards. These are our retro finest and our flashback finest, all go into here. Of course, that's 2022 finest as its own category, which, speaking of, this Paul Goldschmidt likely gonna be another voucher. Same with that Joe Mauer, Jackie Robinson. Again, those will probably stick around as vouchers, and then we'll add that new Takashi collection reward as another player voucher, and possibly even that World Series MVP Jeremy Pena. Or you'll just need to add 2022 postseason cards. They'll make that its own collection, but they'll probably just have it where you collect the player as you have to earn to get that, and if you get that card, you have all the other postseason cards regardless. But again, Paul Goldschmidt, probably going to be a collection there. I want to look at these retro finest and flashback finest, because again, we just got 30 new flashback finest to go along with the program as henchmen. So in total right now, we are working with 110 finest in this collection category. So if you need 100 finest, possibly, we're looking in that 90 to 95% range. That means you can miss 10. And there are quite a few expensive ones out there. I'm still missing a couple myself. I don't have the Mo. I don't have Joe Mauer even, which I should probably pick up. He's only 34K. I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to pick him up real quick. Make sure I'm even a little bit closer. This is a category I think may end up getting a couple of people. I mean, guys like Kluber and Piazza, very, very expensive cards. Lots of pricey rewards in here, and I think it's going to be one that you may get hung up on just a little bit. Obviously, you want to go through, you want to get the 30 free ones that you can get from the current featured program. I'd be aiming for about that 100 to 110 range. Everything else, there hasn't been too many moves since the Jimmy Rollins collection, as we've really just been inundated with finest, which has been so cool to see. So many awesome cards there. But again, a couple added here and there, or they could increase the requirements of some of these. If we come in here to Prime, we needed 27 for Jimmy Rollins. There's currently 30 total, so maybe they up that to 29, or a situation where you got to collect all 30 Prime cards to get that voucher. I doubt it'll be all 30, but probably 28, 29 here, for example, with our Prime, with Jimmy Rollins being at 27. So on some of these other ones, you know, 6 series, another one, you needed 12 for Jimmy Rollins voucher. We got 16 in the game right now. 15 is probably really likely. May even want to be past 95% on some of these other card types that haven't been getting as many cards, as we'll have to push the boundaries past what we needed to get that Jimmy Rollins. Now, as always, just as it was here with this Jimmy Rollins, you will be able to skip one voucher. For me, that was the face of the franchise when that drops. So whatever card we're getting on Friday, you should be able to skip one voucher. All these voucher stock collections, you have been able to skip one of those bad boys out the gate. So look for that to be the same, and that's going to vary by each person on what you want to skip. For me, though, I would definitely recommend knocking out the ones that are free to get. Obviously, whatever we get from the postseason, things like Tops Now, monthly awards, stay on top of those free to earn cards so you can knock out those vouchers really easily. And then if you need to skip Retro Finest because you're 20 cards off or so, give or take there, whatever voucher you're really struggling on, you can go through and skip that voucher. Save yourselves the stubs and get this collection done much, much faster. So that is what I'm working with. If I would be going through and trying to fill in the gaps of my inventory where I can on cards that are not obscenely priced. Anything under 100K or around that 100K price point, depending on where it comes from, it's probably pretty fair. Get those headliner cards. Most of those are at quick sell value. Your BR bronze, gold, silvers, make sure you have all of those. Obtain the cards you can obtain with relative ease and be as prepared as you can for Friday, because if it does end up being the greatest card in Diamond Dynasty history, it's likely not going to be easy to obtain. As always, y'all have any questions, be sure to hit me up down in the comment section below. Until next time, I'll catch y'all around.